By the Times of India as a multifaceted entrepreneur who makes people's heads turn. From humble beginnings, he's a self-taught design engineer, and he's got so much going on with his wonderful Della Group. Jimmy, welcome to Blah Blah Staah.
Kevin, an absolute pleasure to be with you. I'm looking forward to the interview.
Fantastic. So, you're something of the king of experiential hospitality. Could you tell us how you got into this and what it is and what it means to you?
Kevin, for me, life as a designer is all about narrating stories. Every piece of design you do, be it an interior, be it an architecture, has to narrate some kind of a story, an unspoken story. And the viewer usually has to be in an awe and inspiration when they look at something like that. So the same thing follows in hospitality. Hospitality for me is all about experiences, be it 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, or a 5-star, or a super luxury property that you go to. What you're left behind is the experiences. And I try and figure out many different ways of human-centric design in curating these experiences for my guests. So this is the beginning of experiential hospitality. We began with creating an adventure experience that didn't exist in the country. And of course, we learned the adventure experience from New Zealand and Australia and the rest of the places in the world. But we got a twist to it. We mixed in a lot of food for the mind, body, and soul. So we got the animals, and we had horses and dogs that was mixed together along with the adventure activities. At that point in time, we realized that we need to do more and try and curate as many experiences as we can. So we took it up as a challenge and started learning anything and everything that we could from the world over. So not just the zip lines and the high rope, low rope obstacle courses, the ATV track and the dirt biking track, but also, like I said, we got the dogs and the horses and everything that goes with it. We made sure that there's an experience for every family member. So be it grandparents walking with their grandchildren and the kids, or it's just youngsters from college hanging out together, or just families and couples hanging out together. There was something we created for everybody. So the place would consume a person holistically, and like I said earlier, for the mind, body, and soul. So this was the beginning. We got our fruits of success 10 years back when we started the adventure park. It was lapped up by people of all ages. So very often I was asked, who's your TG? And they would almost certainly jump to conclusion our TG is youngsters and youth. Whereas the fact remains, our TG is anything from 35 to 55 is our core TG area, and it's not just the youngsters and the kids. We dwelled upon it, curated a living experience that was to match with the adventure park. It was a tented resort known as CMD Della, and again that was done almost immediately after we launched our adventure park. So we created 30 tents in a very contemporary design and put them on the edge of a mountain. So people had to walk up and down 300 steps. Imagine paying for a room and actually walking up and down 300 steps. And to our utter surprise, this resort was totally sold out. Till to date, we've got 6 resorts, and the maximum occupancy percentage is even today of CMD Della Resort. Of course, we've reduced the number of steps walking up and down to 150 because our car goes halfway through now. But those days when we started, this was an experience that people had. And once they would get into the tent, they would be worried as to how the loo would be and how the tent would be. Once they would step inside, they would see a very contemporary designed room, and the format of the room had been changed. The bathroom had been made bigger. From the beginning, we gave every bathroom with a jacuzzi. So for us, treating every room just as though it was a suite was a mandated norm. And all our beds have always been king size and extra king size and stuff like that. So we try to curate experiences for a guest at every touch point. And this is what differentiated us from the rest of the people. So that's about it.
Thank you for that, Jimmy. That's fantastic. I know when I spoke to you before, you had something like 46 different experiences. Some are quite sort of weird and wonderful, and some of them are very, I guess, very rudimentary and quite sort of back to basics. With so many to choose from, like, what's your personal favorite, and what are very popular with your guests?
So you'll be surprised, Kevin, if I tell you that every experience is my favorite because it's been curated by me and created. I let me tell you something as mundane as hot pot. Chinese hot pot in India doesn't exist, and authentic Chinese hot pot in India just doesn't exist. And I've traveled so much to China and I've lived so much there that I am really, really fond of a Chinese hot pot. So one of the experiences we have curated is a proper Chinese hot pot. And of course we've got the Indian version of it because it has to be veg. And so we've got non-veg, veg, and also in India there is a third segment which further dissects a veg into fruits and vegetables that don't grow into the ground. So that's for the Jains, and that's a third segment of dietary requirement. So we've curated hot pots for Jains, for veg and for non-veg. Apart from that, I'm always been very fond of every movie I see a family doing a barbecue together. For me, a barbecue and a family together is like a must have for any and every family as an experience. So we've got these Faber barbecues, which are beautiful looking and brilliant, and we've curated an entire non-veg, veg barbecue, and again we've given variations. So we've got 6 restaurants, and we've got variations of doing a barbecue which is the Italian way, or going and doing an Indian barbecue in the Indian restaurant, or going and doing an Oriental barbecue in Cafe 24 which serves Oriental delicacies. So we've got variations of barbecue happening as well, not just one cuisine. This is another experience. Another very favorite experience of mine growing up, I've always watched movies where people go for a picnic and you roll out a mat and you kind of open up a bottle of wine and sit with a picnic basket. Now for me, that's a picture moment. And so we've curated these experiences of having picnics with your family, be it just a couple. So we've got picnic baskets, we've got mats, we've got a small sound system, and we've got bottle of wine, glasses. And usually on a picnic, the food is quite mundane. You would just have a sandwich or something which is cold. Here, because we've got 6 restaurants running and our F&B team is a strong 400 people, we have the luxury of giving something which is much, much more better. And so we have an elaborate menu whilst you're sitting on a picnic, and we stuff up the picnic basket, we fill it up with everything that you would not expect and imagine inside. So for me, every touch point and every single place surprising people with what we've thought of and actually delivering it with that finish and that quality is super important. When you're talking of experiences, every loo in Della Resorts, between our 6 resorts, the restaurant loos are an experience. People go in thinking it's a normal loo and they come out smiling. For me, that smile captures value worth millions, because if there's a piece of design or there's a product or there's a material or there's a story which captures a smile on your face and makes you feel happy, that happiness is very, very valuable for me. And hence every loo you go into, a woman steps into a woman's loo, and she opens the door. She comes out with double the speed because she looks at a man squatting on a urinal, but actually it's a mannequin that's squatting on a urinal inside a woman's loo. Now she comes out and she looks at the signage because she thinks she's gone into the wrong loo, and she turns around, she again sees a woman's sign, and then she smiles and laughs when she goes inside. She comes out and she takes all her friends or family and pulls them inside the loo to get the same experience. Now this is a very small thing. It doesn't need money, it doesn't need luxury, but when you do it in the right way with the right finish, you are able to make people happy, make them smile, and that is very, very valuable to me.
Right, that's interesting. Thank you for that. This is Blah Blah at Staah, and we're here with Jimmy Mistry from the wonderful Della Resorts. Okay, I guess moving away from the normal, not the normal things that you do. We've obviously gone through a bit of a tough time recently, and we're just going to talk about it. Obviously, different hotels and different businesses react differently. What do you feel you learned about this whole experience, and how would you perhaps look to future-proof it if something like this ever happened again?
Kevin, very early in life, I realized, and I was taught something by my father. Capacity to bear stress is what differentiates the boys to the men, and I have lived by it. So every time there is unbearable stress, you raise to the occasion and you say that yes, I've been designed to handle it. Of course, nobody was designed to handle COVID. all of us grappled with it in our own ways. And then soon, many of us got the ground firm and rose up from there. And many of the people who were weak and not in a capacity to bear stress actually crumbled under the pressure. So we rose up and said, what is the most positive thing we can do during times like these? So we managed to bring in all our people and do daily training sessions on Zoom. Thanks to Zoom, we could connect all our 300, 250, on an average it used to be about 250 people attending. And these sessions allowed us to interact with our people, which we would have never got a chance to interact during our day-to-day jobs. And because we were completely free, we were wanting to bond together because when there is insecurity, silos come down and people are more receptive to change. So we took advantage of everybody's silos being down, everybody being like a sponge, welcoming change. We got in some of the finest trainers. We motivated people to do shitloads of research. And a lot of the research landed up into a junior staff who's handling front office saying, look, you know what? So we found out Apple stores the entire customer user journey has been mapped by learning from Ritz-Carlton. And Ritz-Carlton, they emulated what they did at Ritz-Carlton to achieve consumer delight. And so the things and examples like these motivated the rest of the people to start looking within and thinking, what is customer delight? And how do we delight our guests? And what is the difference between a happy guest, a satisfied guest, and a delighted guest? Now, these are the things that we would have never been able to do in a normal day-to-day. Normal day-to-day, the trainings are a one-day training once in 2 months or 3 months, and people really don't have the bandwidth and the time. But in this case, people had all the possible time on earth, and we would manage to drill in and accomplish a lot more. So a lot of the new things that we are rolling out now, including the guest experiences, are all a creation of what we did then. Last year, March and April, these are the 2 months that we really, because right from mid of May we were into operations, and June onwards we were operating at first at 25% capacity, then 50, and then 100% the next month. So that's been the positive side in our lives. We would have never been able to bond that well. We would have never been able to train for that many number of hours, and I think it was a fantastic experience. We managed to make the most of it. Personally, for me, we landed up innovating a whole new business, and that was the best thing that could happen across. So COVID has been negative to many people and across the world. For me personally, it has been a great moment because 2020 has been a year where we've done so much of innovation across our businesses and actually landed up innovating a whole new business vertical.
That's fantastic, and the fact this leads on to my next question. I mean, obviously, using Zoom, for example, it's brought your guys together. It's reinforced your relationships, and it's clearly been beneficial. For technology more broadly, I guess, the tools that you use in your hotel, whether it's for reservations or whether it's for bookings, etc. How do you look at how technology has fitted in for you with regards to this time?
It has been a game changer because during this time, a lot of innovation has happened within the hospitality world. I think hospitality world was lagging behind, it was not keeping up with the times. And this break actually enabled every organization to look within and say, how do we optimize resources? How do we automate processes? How do we deal with lesser number of humans within the property, thereby reducing the chances of any kind of an infection being spread across. For us, Staah has been a fantastic partner for all our online sales. We put a lot more number of products on Staah. Apart from that, we've upgraded contactless check-in into our front office. However, still in the world of luxury, it's never going to be completely contactless. Business hotels, yes, but luxury means people, luxury means interactions, and luxury is never going to be in isolation. So even though we have the service for contactless check-in, yes, a lot of the scanning and ID proof processes has been now made online straight, so people can put in their proof of ID straight online and keep it ready. So a lot of these things were optimized before, but I think post-COVID they've been super optimized. People have literally, as to say, leapfrogged into the next generation of utilizing technology across. Communications have been much more smooth flowing. Technologically challenged people have started to embrace technology far better and easier. I think the icebreaker was Zoom. once people started accepting Zoom, even our junior most labor who's at times very often uneducated, unqualified, let's say a landscaping person, or let's say a chambermaid, or let's say somebody who's way down the line doing a menial job, that has been this one thing has been a game changer. Accepting Zoom, and now they are willing to accept, look at WhatsApp groups, respond to people. A lot of changes have happened across, even within our kitchen. Order display systems, a lot of replacements. People starting off on pads, and most of our order taking is happening now automated, which was happening globally. It was happening in India as well, but somehow at our place we are finding it difficult to implement. This has enabled us to implement almost everything we wanted in technology, and we are quite happy with the changes that we are seeing positively.
Right, that's fantastic to hear that, and the fact, as I said, that it's not just helping you with your experience for your guests, but reaching people to book, but also empowering those people in your business that maybe haven't felt empowered before. So that's really good, really exciting. Okay, look, you're a busy man. I know when I spoke to you before this, I asked you what your hobbies were, and you kind of said, well, your work's your hobbies, because a lot of what you do is important to you, particularly the social impact side. Would you like to share with us some of the interests that you have that are important to you?
So Kevin, I firmly live by the maxim that one of India's beacon, JRD Tata, had left behind. No success or achievement in material terms is worthwhile unless and until it serves the needs of the people and the country and is achieved by fair and honest means. This is what JRD Tata had left as a legacy, and I have adopted it right early on in my career. So any business we do, for us the business is not worthwhile unless and until we are impacting societies in the areas where we operate. So be it my manufacturing facility in Daman, where we manufacture furniture, or be it my resorts and adventure park in Lonavala, where the entire hospitality base is. So very early on, instead of doing contract labor, we started hiring people across on our payrolls, and we managed to bring everybody across from the local villages areas and try to give them as much of training and as much of teaching them knowledge that we could impart across. Today, this community has grown to 900 strong people, which are all locals, and each one of these areas, we've got the people now. They are fully trained. A lot of them have not only got employment with us, but they've even moved out to other cities and are employed by some of the finest and big brands. So we are very happy and proud that we've actually managed to cause this impact. But something which is very close to my heart is children and their education. We've adopted a local village school, which is a government-run school, which is now known as Della ZP School. We've got 160 Adivasi kids. Some of these kids, even being in India, could not even speak in Hindi, leave alone English, which was a far-off thing. The entire school had just got 2 teachers, and now we've got a couple of teachers hired on our payroll, and a couple of people are doing social work by contributing, by teaching in the school. What we've done is we've associated every activity of the school, and it's being run by the management and executives of Della Resorts and Della Adventure. So let's say within the adventure park, my manager who manages the archery and horse riding, there's a segment. So the archery and horse riding has been mandated to make sure he is mandated to create at least 1 or 2 state level champions out of these 160 poor kids. Same way, our commandos, we've got a counterterrorism training academy, which has got some of the finest special operatives operating in that area and teaching and training corporates. So it's a military themed resort. We managed to pull out these commandos and said, okay, you have to conduct martial arts, you have to conduct for women's safety and teach the girls, and they are Marcos commandos. So for them, water is you can't get a better trainer in water than a Marcos commando. I mean, that's his life. So the Marcos commandos are teaching these kids swimming. So we managed to bring in all the resources which are available with us. So we conduct singing classes, dance classes, we conduct yoga sessions for them. You'll be surprised, and we are not really spending anything because it's all our resources that are being put to use for these kids. And it's wonderful. So we could not get the 160 kids to our resort pool, but we had one of the villa owners who said he's allowing us to use his swimming pool to teach the kids. So we managed to take, where there's a will, there's a way. And these 160 kids now have full-time English teacher. They have got an IT teacher. My head of IT is deputing his juniors there. So we have the school with projection facilities. We have the school like a goddamn private IB school. And some of the facilities that we provide, so we give them breakfast and we give them lunch every day. And it's managed by our staff cafeteria. So it's all in all, it's an amazing experience that we are able to provide. And I couldn't have done it without a couple of people who contribute on a day-to-day basis, because I'm not there, but they handle it. And Vicky Presswala, Rayoman Irani, and the whole team put together really do an amazing job at taking care of these kids.
That's fantastic. It's not only noble, but I think it's in line with your credo, which is about experience, and you're giving those children experiences and opportunities. And at the end of the day, if you can incorporate that into your business and empower these young people, then that's fantastic. So that's really, really lovely to hear that.
Thank you.
I know I don't want you to give away too much, but do you have any sort of future goals or future things that you're working on that you might want to share with us, or is it all under the bonnet at the moment?
Kevin, we haven't launched the new business that I'm working on, but that's super exciting for me. It's keeping me charged up 24 hours a day. And I always wanted my business to be institutionalized, and I always wanted the social impact to be a very major part of my career and what I do or where I spend my time. This new enterprise is enabling me not just to cause a social impact in Lonavala or India or Mumbai or Chennai, but it's actually going across countries. So we are setting up and before launch we are launching simultaneously in New York, London, Hong Kong, Singapore, Bangkok, Dubai, and 9 cities in India. So all this within the lockdown of last 8 months. We are setting up offices in each of these 15 cities, actually hiring employees. It's not an online job. And each of these 15 cities, we are setting up this new enterprise. Most important purpose of this enterprise is going to be to help entrepreneurs, professionals, and young leaders in their personal and professional lives. But it's also landed up innovating the world's first business platform. So we are launching the world's first business platform where an entrepreneur or a professional, a chairman or an MD or a director can go online and seek for day-to-day business knowledge. It's also very, very critical on the social impact side. We out of the 17 SDGs, we'll be able to comply with 11 of them. So in one single organization, doing social impact and complying to the Sustainable Development Goals 11 in number, so that business is aligned to SDGs as if it's fitting like a glove. And it's amazing. I think it's grown way too big, more than what I ever imagined. I hope I have the wherewithal to be able to pull it off in the manner in which I have planned for it to be. Because God is in the small things, and it's all in the execution that we'll be focusing on how we execute and roll it out. We are a month away from rollout. At least a phase 1 of the rollout with a basic MVP will be done within this month, and we are grappling with technology issues because the portal of the new business has grown to 5,000 pages, and so it's all in a different magnitude. We are grappling with things, working night and day, but we are very hopeful that this particular institution we are setting up is going to be causing a global impact, not just in one country but across countries. And that is one thing that I feel is going to derive the maximum amount of satisfaction as far as personally I go.
Well, that sounds exciting, and watch this space. That sounds really good. Maybe when you've got it underway, maybe you can set one up in Australia somewhere as well.
We have it on the horizon, Kevin. I can assure you. So it's in the 24th month. We have Australia and New Zealand happening. So we've got a rollout of 120 cities planned in the next 5 years. Every 6 months is going to be adding 15 more cities, and there's a whole rollout map that's ready for it.
Fantastic! Wow, exciting stuff. You're a busy man. Okay, just one last question before we get on to some of the rapid fire. Just really, really succinctly, if you had one bit of advice for a young person entering into hospitality, what would that advice be?
it's amazing if you have it in you, if it pleases you to serve others. That's what is at the core of hospitality. It's if you're entering inside, if you have this innate feeling and desire, but you also tell yourself this is one of the most difficult industries to be in, sustaining and going through the grind. If you're ready for it, then get into hospitality. It is not a quick fix industry. It's not going to allow you to be at a high and not come down. Your customer service and your standards are as good as yesterday's newspapers. You can never manage to hang your boots up there and say, okay, my people are going to run this institution and it's all going to be taken care of. Your standards can come crumbling down. Within a matter of 3 months, a 5-star can become a 3-star and 3-star to no star. It's all within this world of hospitality. So if you have the gut to persevere, stay true to the cause, really enjoy doing what you're doing by serving others, then this is a field for you. I'm sure if you're creative, you'll figure out a way to make a name for yourself, be it via the medium of your cocktails or your food or your service, but you'll stand out in different aspects of hospitality as far as you're passionate about it and you're willing to persevere.
Good advice for any young person entering into the hospitality industry. So this is Blah Blah at Staah, and I'm here with Jimmy Mistry of the Della Resorts. Jimmy, thank you so much for your time today. So before we go, I've got a few quick fire questions for you, and let's see how we go. So, pasta or risotto?
Risotto. Saffron risotto.
Okay. Labrador or poodle?
Labrador.
Music or cinema?
Music.
Scuba diving or skiing?
Skiing.
And where will your next holiday destination be?
Well, I haven't thought of that as yet, but definitely someplace with the family once the launch of this new business and enterprise takes off. But each place of holiday is going to be associated with some work or the other, for sure.
Fantastic. Jimmy, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for giving up your valuable time to talk to us. We really appreciate it, and all the very best with your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Kevin, thank you. Thank you, Staah. And it was a pleasure to speak with you. And once we launch the new business, we will do one more show and talk. And I will take you through the journey of what experiences we are creating for people globally. Cheers. Bye.
Fantastic.